So welcome back to the Python course, and in today's video I would be discussing the range function. So what the range function is basically doing is that it takes some arguments and then according to those arguments it creates a list. So just remember this statement and it would be more than enough to learn what range is. Range is basically you are putting in some arguments and it is outputting a list to you which you can further process. So for example, let me just open my code editor and I am referencing the Python documentation to make all the content because I think that the problem is that people see the videos, but when they see the videos, they do not get the skill to read the documentation. So my goal with these videos is to help you learn how to navigate through the documentation. So let me create a new file here. I'll just call it main.py. And in this main.py, let's first take a very simple example. So here we are given this loop that for I in range 5 print I. Okay, so let me do this first. Print range of 5. Okay, now I'll just open my terminal and run my program. Okay, so what this has outputted is this range 0 to 5. Now what I can do here is that I can convert this into a list and then I can run the program again. Now we can see this has happened 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the previous output we had range 0 to 5. Now what does this mean? Let me just print this together. Okay, so we have this and we have this. This is the same thing. Range 0 to 5 and the list 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the same thing. Okay. Now what do I want to describe from this? I want to describe that as you can see we have 0 over here, right? And we have 0 over here. That means that in our list we are starting from 0. The first argument in the range is giving the 0 value to our list. If we write for example range 1 to 5, then our list would start from 1. So basically range gives us a list which is this, and the starting of the list is from here, the first argument. Similarly, if you notice the last argument, then for 5 we have 4. Let's take another example. Let's take 20 as an example. Okay, so I entered 20 over here, but I am getting 19 over here. So as you can see from the pattern, the last digit in the range function is not included. So for example, if I typed 0 to 5 in range, then I got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 is the starting point and 4 is the ending point, because we do not include 5 in our list. So let me summarize this quickly and then we can move on to the next concept, which is the concept of having a step. So 0 to 5. In this, we start from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 5 is not included, but it is the end. So we stop at 4. 5 is not included in our list. Range outputs a list for us. Okay. Now let me teach you the concept of a range step. So let me remove this and I'll add something like this. Okay, so what is this 2? I understand that my list is starting with 1 and my list would most probably ending with 9. Because this is 10, so it is not included. What is this 2? Let's see. Okay, we have the range function. Now let's convert it into a list. Now we can see that there is a gap of 2 in between the elements of the list. So it's like 1, then 3, then 5, then 7, then 9. Let's see what happens with a gap of 3. Okay, now we have 1, then there is a gap of 3, so 4, and then there is a gap of 3 again, so 7, and now the next element after this gap would be 10. So 1, 1 to 4, then 4 to 7. Now 7 plus 3 is 10. Now 10 and the elements, the numbers after that in the number line would not be included. So 10 is not included here. And we have this list as our output. Now, a question which might be arised in your mind is that, okay, Sarthak, I understand that I can take this range function and I can typecast it into a list. And I can basically get my desired output in the form of list on the basis of some conditions like start, stop, and step. What is this range? Why do we need this range? Let's see. So I'll just refer to this documentation first. I'm referring the documentation because I want to teach you how to navigate the documentation, because most people do not have this skill to navigate it. Okay, so we have been given a loop here, and in this loop we have range 5. Okay, so let's take this. For I in range 5, print I. Okay. Let's first see what's happening in this. This is printed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as I taught for loop before in this in my video series, for I'm taking a temporary variable I In range, what is this range? Like, what is this range? As I told you before, range is giving us a list output. Now, what would be the list output of range 5? By default, the starting point is 0. So 0. Our range, if this is like this, then the starting is by default 0, end is 4, which is 5 minus 1, that is end minus 1, and step size is 1 by default. So this is our interpretation of range 5, and in list form it would be something like this. So I'll do this as well, that for I in this list, print I, and I'll also print a new what should I say, a separation here. Okay, now let's see what the output is. Do you notice that this and this is the same? The output of this and this is the same, is exactly the same. What's the difference in these lines of code, in this and in this? This has been replaced by this. Range 5, by default the starting is 0, so 0. Now 5 is the end, so 5 minus 1, which is 4, so it is going till 4, and the step size is 1. So 1 minus 0 is 1, 2 minus 1 is 1, 3 minus 2 is 1, 4 minus 3 is 1. Okay. Now, this is when we have one argument in a range. Let's see what happens if we have two arguments in range. Let's take 5 and 20 for example. So if I try to print 520, and what I do over here is I remove this and this, what do you think the output is going to be? The output here is our list is starting with 5 because the first argument is 5. Our list is ending with 19, not 20, 19. 20 is not included. And okay, we'll take another example for the step size, but first let's print this. So as we can see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it started with 5 and it's going till 19. Okay. Now let's take this example. What is this? 1 is my starting point, 20 is my ending point, and 2 is my step size. So, what do you think the output would be? The output list would be, firstly, my list is starting with 1. What does range give? Range gives a list. Okay. What does my list start with? 1. 1. Why? Because the first argument is 1. Till where will my list be? 19. Why 19? Because this is 20 and 20 is not included in the list. Okay. Now we have a step size of 2. That means that the next element would be the plus 2 of the previous element. So what is the plus 2 of 1? 3. Plus 2 of 3? 5. Plus 2 of 5? 7. And so on till 17, then 19. So this is our list. So what should this code print for us? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 till 19. Let's run the code. One, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. Okay. Let's see if there are things which I have not covered. So we went to the range function in our documentation. We saw that, okay, there's something happening with for loop. Let's check it out. Okay, we have done that. Then I showed you how to typecast this into a list. Then, okay, this is an interesting example. We have a list A in this. So Mary had a little lamb. These are the elements of the list A. Now for I, in range length of A, print I, AI. Okay. Okay, let's first create this list. Let's create this list. We have this list. Now, in this, for I in range length of A, one rule which I would like to give you is always go from inside to outside. Always go from inside to outside. This is a rule. What does this mean? Always go from inside to outside. What is inside? Length of A. What is outside? Range. Always go from inside to outside. First, I'll go inside. What is length of A? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Length of A is 5. So what will I get here? 5. Now this is range. We have range. First inside, then outside. First inside, then outside. Range, and in range, we have length. This length was calculated to be 5. So we have something like range of 5. Now what is the range of 5? I have explained it to you. It is from 0 to 4. 0 is the default starting point. 4 is 5 minus 1. And in range end is not included. And the default step size is 1. So 1 minus 0 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. And so on. Okay. So basically what happened here is that I have my list, and in this list I applied the length function, which basically give me the number of elements in this list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this 5 is substituted over here. And what is range 5? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. List of range 5 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. ठीक है. Now, this is a for loop, so I am just printing the values. So I is my value in this list, which I got over here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I am basically indexing my list over here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. A of 0 is Mary. A of 1 is had, and so on. And this is what's happening. This is the logic of the program. So basically what it's trying to depict here is that we can evaluate something within the range function and then use it. This is what this implies. As you can see, range 10 is equivalent to range 0 to 10 because these rules are important. Range default starting is 0. Default step size is 1. Ending is end minus 1. This is an important rule. Default starting is 0, step size is 1, end is end minus 1. Okay. Now, what do you think what's happening here? What do you think is happening here? Some range of 4. Now, what was the rule which I just told you recently? From inside, go outside. Inside functions are always evaluated first, then outside functions are evaluated. First, range 4 would be evaluated, then this function would be evaluated. Let's try this. So I'll just remove this and I'll type sum of range of, what was it? 4. Along with that, I'll just, for understanding purposes, print this as well, range 4. The output here is, okay, basically I'll just convert it to list. So, what is my range giving me? What is my range giving me? By default, it is starting with 0 and it is ending with 4 minus 1, 3. So, we have our list 0, 1, 2, 3 as the step size is 1. Now, as the name suggests, sum gives us our list. The sum of elements in the list. So, what's the sum of the elements in the list? 0, 1, plus 2, plus 3, which is 6. And 6 is given over here. So, in short, key points to remember from this video. Range end basically means that range starting with 0 and end, that is end equal to, ending is equal to end minus 1 and step is equal to 1. Hash range start end is my range start, then end, where end is this, ending is this, and step size is 1. And hash range start, end, and step, that is equal to range start, end, and step, and ending is equal to end minus 1. And the final point is range is equivalent to a list which it provides by applying specific constraints which are start, end, and step. So this is all about range. I don't think there is anything else in the documentation related to range. Yeah, I have covered everything regarding range. So yeah, that's it about range, and hopefully you liked the video. So this is the video, and I have covered everything about range, everything that you need to know, and mostly of what is given in the documentation. If you have any doubts, just comment them below and I'll try to respond to them. Just look at the descriptions below, in the description below, and well, thank you.